It's good to be here. And I guess the viewers are flying on. Looks like a record night tonight, Jim, in week 11.
Week 11.
Yeah, it seemed like yesterday we started this.
I wanted to give you a shout out, Dennis. As we've been doing this and doing the Master UFO coaching, during that period of time, you have hit Master UFO and Sam. And I wanted to congratulate you on doing as you teach. And I know we always say that to people that we have to do what we expect them to do. So congratulations on doing that.
Great. Thanks, Jim. And likewise. And what I'm most excited about is the number of master UFOs that it's bumped up for this second quarter. So our efforts are paying off, and congratulations to all that are on tonight and have been with us throughout these 12 weeks. We still have another week to go after tonight. But, the most important thing is now we've got a roadmap for people. So all these individuals who have new unfranchised owners, tonight's going to be a great night for them.
Yeah, it is. And, Dennis, any of the people who didn't get it, because, we only have, 3 days left to hit Master UFO or Sam, right? Today's 28th, 2 days left.
Right.
But if you didn't hit it, team, and you're listening, now you, as Dennis said, you set a roadmap. Start thinking about what did I fall short on, and what do I need to do next time? Sometimes that's IBV. Sometimes it might have been the sponsorship. But whatever it is, what do I need to do to get it for the next quarter? Because now you're in a rhythm of doing those things. I think that's so important for us to get ready to start the next quarter strong in the first month.
Absolutely. Coming out of the blocks. And, always want to recommend things you can tick off right off the top. Get that shopping assessment in. Make sure you get your NUOC trainings and your basic fives in the calendar.
Yes.
Just make sure that you're making your list on your shopping assessment. All of these things, get that little stuff out of the way, and then focus on the retailing side, focus on that showing the evaluations and plans, and it'll come through to you. It was really fun to see. I do a group, Team Paragon, and a big shout out for Team Paragon. We really broke through with quite a few master UFOs this quarter. And the fun thing was Renee White, this is her third quarter in a row and her commissions are going up. And, I see a whole new level of energy coming from the folks that are doing this consistently. They're in the game, Jim.
Yep. Well, we know the correlations. We've seen the numbers of what happens when people start doing it regular. So congratulations, Renee, on that is fantastic. And we were doing the same thing this morning, Dennis. I run a number of accountability. My Mondays are always accountability Monday. Big shout out to our Canadian group that we have. I mean, they're familiar with Andrew Chi, who's always on with us tonight. He's always behind the scenes. You guys don't get to see him, but AC is always here. Mm-hmm. And our Team 20. And what we were talking about the IBV, and one of the things we talked about is, what do you spend money on right now on that you do all the time? So things like, a lot of people don't know, you can go to raise.com and you can get a gift card for Netflix and pay your Netflix subscription for the next 6-7 months. You can do a Showtime one. You can do that. We have something called Pick and Saves out here. I don't know if it would be like a Kroger for people. Well, I said, okay, where do we spend money? I went to Kroger on Raise, and there it was again. All these different, any reoccurring charges, why not find out if you can get paid for it? Spotify is one. Our kids use Spotify. There was one. And, guys, it's really just putting your mind to it and saying, I don't want to spend $1 that doesn't pay me. Don't make it bigger than that, right? Dennis and I have always talked about and said, do what you can do, but make sure you maximize what you can do.
The other thing I'll just add to that, and you've taught me on several of the stores to buy on. I just say this, now I'm getting my ink cartridges, office supplies, it just gets bigger and bigger. And I've really found several restaurants off of Shop Local that's been really good. And it seems like now that I'm becoming more vintage, my wife doesn't like to cook as much. So we find ourselves going out or getting takeout. So we picked up, quite a bit of IBV along the way with that. So check your shop local and doing that. I also, Jim, I want to just do a couple shout outs for those sending in their homework. June Ashmore, great effort. I appreciate that. The one thing that I like, you made your 3 calls, you got 1 product order, you got the money, another one that's willing to watch the videos, which is great, and 1 no response. But can you imagine, Jim, 1 out of 3? Those are great odds.
It's like being a baseball player. If you're 1 out of 3, you end up being a multi-million-dollar baseball player. We've always said 1 out of 3 here, and we're doing great. I want to shout out to Felicia Allen. Felicia had 3 calls she made. She ended up getting 2 orders, Dennis. And the third, remember, we didn't count them unless they got paid from. The third is a verbal. So she did a great job with that. Congratulations, Felicia, on taking that courage to make those calls.
And just building upon that, Kim and Michael Glenn, great showing here. 2 of the 3, 1 client that was called, they bought 2 products, which is great. And then the second one bought a bliss, and it was a swing and a miss for the third. 2 out of 3, man, that's big time. I love that.
Mike and Kim are Wisconsin originals, Dennis. It started back when I started, a little bit before me. So great people who now have I think they're in Minnesota, if I'm correct now, but wonderful people. And Johan Yoga, I gotta say, buddy, 3 calls, no sales yet being the key. But you know what I love is you're taking your swings. And when you take your swings, you're going to get a hit. You never know if it'll be a single or a home run, but keep swinging, Johan. Love that you made the calls, and thank you for reporting it.
Great. It's nice to see this. And I love reading through these homework assignments as they come in. But Jim, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to pull up tonight's presentation. I'm excited about it. I think it's an amazing evening to talk about the first 90 days moving into becoming an unfranchised owner. I think it's great. And like we talked about, it's week 11. And, it's been a lot of fun to date. And I'm truly looking forward to tonight. Again, follow up and closing was last week. I hope that by taking more swings, you were able to close more people. But now it's about the first 90 days for a new partner. Critical times when you start thinking about it. Jim, what's your thoughts on the first 90 days after you bring in a new partner?
A lot of times those can be make or break, Dennis, to get people going. I try to get them. Again, if we come to a conclusion before they come in of what they want out of this, usually we have a good roadmap on how hard they're willing to work. And you and I are very similar, that we try to go through a lot of things we're going to talk about. We actually do some of this before we start, so we can use that to make sure we're moving in the right direction. Because if you can show someone how they can generate those customers in the first 90 days, how they can get to base 10 or even get base 5 at that point in 90 days, it makes such a huge difference. You can't bring somebody in and leave them alone. You got to return those phone calls. I was on the phone with one of my new partners. I had sponsored Jesse today, and he said, man, I feel bad. I'm always calling you, and I forgot how late it was last night. Because he's in Seattle, and I said, hey, this is what it's about. And I know Jesse's on. You're the new guy. I want you to call. You can call other people too, but I want you to call. I sponsored you. Let's go through. And Dennis, I'm happy to report he got his Form 1000 done in the first, what would it be, 25 days, which is what I like to see people do. That means they're getting out and they're moving the products.
I love it. And you know why I have this slide the way it is tonight is they can either go one way or the other. And I want to remind everyone, it's easier to build fast than slow. And so what the evaluation process has done for many people is that now that they know this is the right business, they can come into the business with urgency. And, one of the things I want everybody to remember, you work so hard to get a new partner. And then when they come into the business, for whatever reason, you're slowing down your pace or you're over pushing that new partner past the extreme of what time that you actually been allotted to build the business. So it is a fine, effort. I mean, you've got not too much, but you got to have enough. And it is a little bit tough when you think about that.
It's got to be their goals, right? Not ours. It's what
Absolutely.
they want, because a lot of us want to move fast, but we can push them too hard if they don't want to do that. But hopefully we've come to a good match on where we want to go together in the business.
Great. And I wanted to just define again who and what we are. I can't, stress this enough. We are the unfranchised business model, and it's a systemized approach to creating a profitable and stable retail driven business, not recruiting business, but is a retail driven business. Now, I'm just going to say this real quick at that point. That means selling product, but also expanding distribution. Don't get thrown off with the fact that I said this is not a recruiting game here, but there is an expansion of distribution once you get your base started. The tasks that we each ask a new unfranchised owner to do have been proven out over the past, get this, 30 years, and takes into account the ever-changing buying habits of customers. Now, again, when we say this, I want to remind everyone that we are a dynamic company. We do evolve with the way people want to buy products. So if your world is never wanting to change, it's going to be tough for you to survive in a business that has to be dynamic to stay relevant. So I just wanted to mention that to each and every one of you on tonight.
And Dennis, one thing we should really mention is what's happening this week as we get ready, move into this week. July 1st is coming. It's going to be just a couple days away. And July 1st, I want everyone to remember we have a $20 increase in our subscription kit. It goes from $129 to $149, or a subscription plus goes $149 to $169, or a fast start kit goes $429 to $449. But July 1st, remember, Shop Live is coming out. When Dennis was talking about changing and dynamics, Dennis and I have been doing this a long time, and we've really had to learn and grow a lot. It's one of the things I love about the business. It never lets you get old, because you always have to learn and grow and be part of what's happening. And we're going to be doing a presentation with Andrew and JJ on Shop Live on Thursday night. Dennis, I think that's been promoted out. If it hasn't, you guys will see the link probably tomorrow. And then Dennis and Andrew and JJ are going to be doing one on Friday night. So we're going to have 2-hour-long presentation, and you are going to love this. But it goes back to, don't be scared. Learn how to use the new technology, because the fundamentals will always be the same. Sell the products, sell the business, sell tickets and education. Okay, which goes back to, we're less than 8 weeks away from International Convention. Can you believe this right now? And then be your own best customer, which is what we were talking about earlier. How do I get paid on everything I do? Every week you guys see me, I'm drinking my water and my aloe. It's just part of what it is. And that's I'm always using my own products, and this all puts it together. If you're not doing these 4 things, you're really not doing the business. That's the key. It's the simplicity.
I love what you pushed out there, and you hit it. You nailed it. It's a simple business. Don't complicate it. That's very important. Also, I do want to remind everyone why owning an unfranchised business is different. Now think about this, all right? Before any new partner registers an unfranchised business, and I'm just going to throw this out here because we're building around the globe, and I'm seeing some of you are taking shortcuts to bringing partners on. But I want to remind you, they should be taking part in a trial run, and we'll talk about that, and experience a product or service. This is a simple evaluation process that we want everyone to take, because it is something that a new partner or a potential partner can test the market before they commit. And this is how you create urgency when a candidate comes on. Now, note what is right in front of you. This is not too much to ask of a candidate. And a lot of you are afraid of pushing away a candidate by going through a trial run. And quite frankly, Jim, this bothers me because you're not showing strength in leadership. You're showing fear of loss, which
Yes.
really doesn't push out a very good message of strength. And by the way, if they don't come in the right way, the risk of dropout rises in the first 6 months. And I found over the years, and I don't know about you, Jim, but it's painful to lose someone that you bring into the business.
It is, and it's so easy to help them and spend a little time and build their belief. You know, you're so on this part of it, people being scared that if they tell someone what they have to do, that they may not want to be part of the business. Well, if that's the case, do you really want them? I mean, I look like trying a product. If someone's not going to try a product, why are you bringing them in your business? Would they buy a restaurant and never try the food? It wouldn't make any sense, you know? You got to think like a business person on this. And that's why I know Dennis and I, and Kevin and our builders, we love customers who become business partners because they've already, their trial runners, they've already loved the products, they're probably already talking about it.
Amen. I love that.
You know, and this trial run and evaluation process, and you can see it in our unfranchised business plan. It can be, you know, done in a step 1, a step 2, but every candidate needs to see this plan 3 times before making a decision. I know for me, the first time, our plan could have been a foreign language because I couldn't figure out what BV, and that was before IBV, what BV was and what was happening. By the 3rd time I saw it, I was really excited. Second time I got excited. Third time I was like, I got to do this and I got to do it fast because this makes sense to me. Then each candidate can expose some people to it. And you know, there's never a better time to expose the business than when you're not part of it yet. Because you can truly say, hey, Dennis, would you evaluate this for me? I'm looking into it seriously and I would love your opinion. And you don't have a financial reason to do that yet because you're just seeing if they would look at. And you know, Dennis and I have talked about this on other sessions, but whether the person says yes or no really is irrelevant. All I want to see is, can they get some people to look at it? Because I know with our plan, we know if enough people look at it, it makes too much business sense. And someone's going to see it, but we've got to make sure they can bring people to the table. And we talked already about, you know, trying the products and potentially talking to some people about the products. You know, Dennis, one thing I'm so proud of is our educational system. Like tonight we didn't have this for a lot of years where people could plug in and learn the way you guys are doing it. And if you take advantage of the things we're talking about, you can move so fast with what we have in the business.
The point here that you really bring to light is that it is a systemized approach. And also understand our best builders in our business will find ways to do this in multiple approaches. When I say running multiple trial runs at once, and it may start with the whole plan as far as part 1, part 2, even doing the interview process where a group of 4 or 5 teammates get together and once a week they get together and interview what they want to accomplish. It's a question and answer, really helping to set it up and then booking to the first introductory part 1 of the plan. I love those creative ways. And the one thing I want to stress is don't just work with one candidate through a trial run. You've got to be able to go with multiple candidates. And that's really, really important. Something to help you is our Getting Started guide. Very strong piece of information that you can go to and discuss, especially during the process of the trial run. And, you know, Jim, it's really funny, as this was created, you and I both use this a little bit differently. Some of your thoughts before I continue.
Well, I know, you know, when I was first using it, I would bring it out as I did the registration with people, and I would be doing it then. But sometimes I was running into challenges doing that because then they weren't agreeing to some of the things that were on there. And really picked up from you a lot, that I started using it beforehand. I started using it as a guideline to what we were going to do and getting commitments ahead of time. But I am this is the only way I feel, Dennis, we can duplicate through a team that grows fast, because it's there, it's laid out, it's exactly what you have to do. And I think all of us should be downloading this. You should have multiple copies. You can email it to somebody. You can order copies or have copies that come to you when a new person starts. But it's just an absolute, to me, best way to start a new person.
And also, total agreement. I recommend that every candidate that you start the trial run experience have a getting started guide in their possession. It is a small price to pay. And I'll say that again, a small price to pay, in the fact that there is a cost of the development of a new partner, and especially a go now partner. So don't be so tight. You know, they should be getting a getting started guide. They should be given a product catalog. These are things, and as they go through, when they get to the second or third person they put in front of you, give them a flip chart too. I mean, don't be so stingy on that. And the only other thing that I would say about this is that very easily this can be divided into three different meetings with your partner as you go along. So I am a big fan of this, and don't be afraid of it. It just really keeps you on track as you keep going. We start talking about in this getting started guide about developing your unfranchised business, and we'll go over some of these questions that we start with, and then we talk about the why. And one of the things that everybody needs to understand is that the why that is developed by the candidate is your leverage to get them to come back to the next appointment, your leverage to make the calls. I'm going to say that again. The whys. Know where your leverage is. Once the why is solidified, now the goal statement is going to be tied to a timeline. Okay. And that's going to include the action plan. And we recommend that your short-term goals be based on 4 to 6 months. And of course, Jim and I, if you've been with us through this, we have 2 different follow-up methods when it comes to customers, once a week or 3 times a week, depending on your style. But also what we're talking about here, from the first time you start working with a candidate, coming back 3 to 7 days from registration, sort of an outline during that whole process, Jim.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what I loved what you said just now, Dennis, is this is not it can be broken up into 3 segments. You said that earlier, and so many times, I know you and I get frustrated. We hear of somebody saying they did a registration and it was 20 minutes long, and we're thinking that's not even one segment, which probably should have been done ahead of time. This makes sure you do the right things. If you do this, so say you do it as part of the trial run. And one of the things I wanted to add, Dennis, that I love doing now, especially because of Zoom and technology, is if I'm registering Dennis in the business, I'm going to have 2 or 3 business partners on the getting started guide before he's coming in. So he's meeting his partners, he's getting a feel that there's teammates involved, and they're going to add things I forget. Just like when Dennis and I are doing this, we're always adding in things that maybe the other person slightly just glazed over or forgot, or we feel could be a bigger point. But it's a great way to introduce teammates while going through the getting started guide. And then it secures that you book the next appointment to do part 2, and the next appointment to finish the getting started guide. So you can go through this in a couple weeks and you'll have 3 great appointments with a new business partner.
Beautiful, beautiful.
When we look at this commitment stage to get these questions answered, one of the things that I like people to commit to is following this for 12 months. And there's a reason. I don't believe in our business. If you've sold it as anything other than a business that's going to take 2 to 3 years to set a foundation, then you're lying to people. You have to let them know they need to take that time to give it 12 months. They will know at the end of 12 months whether this is the right business, whether if they put the effort in, they'll be rewarded, but they won't know that after 3 weeks, and they won't know it after 2 months. They'll know it after. So I always ask people, give me a commitment of 12 months. I told actually when I was starting, Dennis, I probably have told you this, but I told one of the ladies training me, Marta Arkebauer, I said, Marta, I said, I'll give it 12 months. 12 months and 1 day from now, if it's not what you told me it is, I will quit on that day. But if it is, I'll be your most loyal business partner you'll have the rest of your career. But I, in my mind, said, I have to give it 12 months to know it. And then I had to put time into it, because just being part of the business for 12 months, if you're part of the business and you don't do anything, you're not really part of the business. Commit 8 to 15 hours of focused time. Focused time is what? It's the things we talked about earlier. It's moving products, it's sharing the business plan, it's attending events, and learning what you can use as well. But those are our focused hours. And then getting tickets to the GMTSS. Sell that ticket before they've even started the business. Because right now, if I see a registration like for our Elite 21 Canadian team, 10 registrations this last week. Guess how many tickets should have been sold to International Convention? We're 8 weeks away. There should be 10 tickets sold to International Convention. We want to make sure we're getting people in the right position, and then get them listening to audios or videos per week, and recommend the Learning Center. Oh, have you guys checked out Dennis? That Learning Center is so outstanding for new people. It really is.
I'm totally loving it, and it's getting better. Every time we find a point, we're adding another training video to it. So that's pretty powerful. And then moving on what Jim was discussing, we want to make sure you're pushing on your list of names. And you know what, if you don't have a list of names, basically you're unemployed in our business. So 60 to 100 names. Usually what we have found over the years, it does take about 18 calls to get one partner. So 30 to 40 names is a must to get activated. Go for 60 to 100. If JR is leading his charge, it's 300 names. But we believe you can keep adding 2 names a day or adding a name a day to your list. Also, remember that repeat preferred customer base on MA branded products. Why are we saying that? Because we want to get as close as we can through our traditional sales to cover our overhead on a monthly basis. That's what really defines whether it's 10 customers or 15 customers on how you manage your businesses as you find your cost basis of the business. Learn and practice the basic 5 fundamentals. What I want you to know is that on a daily basis, I expect you to go through all 5. That, as we talk about, is learning the rhythm of the business where you do it naturally. Then you have implementing the master unfranchise owner criteria. This is like if you're out and you're putting it in cruise control. And this is basically what you want to naturally try to hit every calendar quarter as you get up and running. Learning how to convert the spending into earning, and of course, completing your shopping assessment, which, interesting to say, Jim, that is a must for all new unfranchise owners in the first 90 days of operation.
Dennis, that's a great point. You and I and our team, we're just reviewing the new unfranchised owner training, where we're going to be doing some updates to it, which I think you guys will love in the field. Our unfranchised owners will really love this. But one of the things that we're reminded of, a new person needs to do that shopping and assessment. So Jesse, if you're listening, gotta make sure we got this done in the first 90 days. Otherwise, they lose their IBV points. And I want everyone to remember that. We have to do one assessment in the first 90 days. Then, of course, we'll do it to hit Master UFO, and Sam going forward will update it. And again, that can be found in our unfranchise.com back office very easily. But great point, Dennis, on that.
All right, cool. Hey, I wanted to talk to you. I don't know how important you feel it is, but I'm feeling very strong about setting up a 3-month calendar. And this is something to just give you an idea of what we're thinking here. It's not filled out completely, but we wanted to show you some of the important things that you needed to do. And if you notice on this, first of all, everything is dictated by the amount of hours you commit to the business. So if you're the sponsor, take that into consideration first. If they say they have 8 hours or 15 hours, that's what you're going to build your schedule to. Don't abuse a new partner. If they say they have 10 hours a week, don't push them to 15 or 18. You'll lose them because you're no longer promising to deliver what you told them. I hope everybody gets that point. Then you're going to put your starting mandatory GMTSS events always first. If you notice, I've got a new Unfranchise owner training in the first 30 days, which is very important. I've got a basic 5 in the next 30 days. We also have convention put in there. On the next 30 days, you'll see a local that is in there. I love, Jim, when you build your non-negotiable days. I thought that was a great presentation. Your non-negotiables.
And those include any locals, any international conventions. I mean, the calendar is so important. A lot of times someone will start the business, Dennis, and this is why this is so vital, what you're talking about. They'll start a business. They'll go home and their spouse will say, okay, so you started your business. What do you do now? Or what's the next thing? They're like, I'm not sure. I registered. I'm waiting for my products to come. And what's the next step? When someone leaves you, they should have it. Here's what I'm going to be doing at least minimally over the next 3 months, which you've laid out here. And you put the study time in, whether it be helping them with their names list, whether it be learning about support materials, teaching them about UFMS, and some of that they'll learn as they go, but some of it we need to make sure they're aware of where it is. I love to take people to our Market America YouTube, Dennis, and show them that, and show them, especially, I love our product part of our business and sending them to see product training, because I know if they watch it, they're going to want to order because it just makes sense to them and they're going to be better at retailing it. And then, of course, time to do call workshops, different things like that, social media time, administrative time, and laying it out. This is perfect for people to realize, okay, these are the nights and these are the times I'm going to work.
I love it. And folks, we don't even have your monthly UBPs that you should be attending with a guest. We don't have a lot of things in here, but we wanted to just show you some of the things you want to lay out. And I also want to point out here, this is what makes us different than multi-level marketing. You want something that's going to make a difference. You want to be separate from what people want to throw us into all the time. It's things like this that make the difference. Why? Because you can hold people accountable. When you build the calendar, it's an agreement between you and your candidate, your new partner. So if they don't do what they committed to do or what you agreed to do together to get what they want, hey, the business is great. They're not going to say the business doesn't work. They're going to say, I didn't work the business. Great business. Does everybody understand that? Because one of the promises coming through now, I've been in this 40 years helping people grow in organizational building. The bottom line is you don't want people to leave the business and say Market America doesn't work. If they're going to leave, they need to be saying Market America is a great company. I didn't work the business. I hope everybody gets that point.
100%, Dennis. You set them up, you give them the best chance in the world, but you can't make them do it. But if they don't do it, you want them to be good ambassadors for you. When people are good ambassadors, when they know that it would have worked if they put the effort in, but they just didn't do it, then they're fair about it. I've always said Market America has never failed anyone. Some of us have failed ourselves in what we committed to do. That's really the difference.
Bingo.
And you were mentioning the why before, and there's a quote, and I'll probably not get it correct, but from Lauren, she talks about it all the time. She's like, when you know your why, the how will get itself done, will get figured out. And it really is. When you list out your why and you know why you want this, you'll figure the rest out. And I think that's an important thing for people to do. And sometimes dentists, people get stuck. Well, I don't know if I have a big enough why. Well, whatever why you have is big enough. It's yours. It's what you want it to be.
Oh, yes, so much. And, again, as you build that, and whys just don't happen. Something may come to mind, but believe me, you go to sleep, you wake up the next morning or the day after that, something happens in your life and say, I don't want that to happen. All of a sudden, the why gets bigger. So as time goes on. So that really helps you set your personal goals. And, just remember, personal goals are not accomplishing your why. It's basically how you eat the elephant, one bite at a time. I love that saying. People look at the elephant and say, I can't eat that. Well, you can if you eat it one bite at a time.
That's so true. And part of that, doing that is your daily tasks and activities and knowing what you have to do those bite-sized things that add up to so much over time. And it's reviewing them with your sponsor, with the team, because it's really not one person. Hopefully you got a couple people there with you of how you're going to do those daily tasks and activities.
And then when you're founding, really finding out what you need to accomplish to see the biggest win on a daily basis, you'll see that base 10, 7 strong come to life, which lead us to, of course, we want to talk a little bit about, what do we have to do on a daily basis? And, what you want to do is constantly stay in motion. And, it's stay focused, stay the course. It's something I like to talk about all the time, or getting up to the plate and take your swings every day. So you want to add and cultivate 2 possibilities a day. There you have it. That's my first one.
I love stay the course. You know that. I always used to say to Lisa, what does Dennis mean by stay the course? Then I figured it out when I saw so many people who went off the course. Stay the course. And that means calling 1 to 3 prospects from your possibilities list. So if you're adding names and you're calling, you're always going to have a prospect list to work off of.
Bingo. And then, you're constantly promoting your business, not overselling it. Don't get weird, but at the same time, share your successes, share testimonials. You may not mention the name of the product, or you might want to say on social media, feel comfortable to send me a private message if you're interested in getting more information. Those kind of things, if you do on a regular basis, is going to really help you.
I love that. Someone wrote, don't get weird, and they're so right. You don't want to start a business and start putting 18 posts out on social media. That is weird. Things should come sort of naturally, but I'm excited. I get excited about that. I'm excited about our basketball team in my local area, the Milwaukee Bucks. I'll post something about them. Then I think, I'm excited about Market America. I'm going to post something about that. Then I think, I'm excited about my family. I'm going to post something about that. That's the way you got to think about it, not 18 posts of one thing.
No, totally. So cool. And again, what you commit to do, make sure you follow up. If you're going to contact a prospect and you're going to say something that you'll follow up with, make sure you do. And that's the same with your customers too. Check in with them. I think that's really important.
So important. And, we want to show this plan. We want to follow up, and we want to invite people to learn, customers, how to earn cash back. And we want to really get them, Dennis. And I think you said this earlier, on that BB product, the exclusive branded product. We want to get them, I've always used the branded product to get my customers to shop.com to learn more about cash back, because then they can use their cash back to buy the branded product.
Absolutely. And the whole process, how do we continue to learn what we talk to? And it's listening to audios, it's watching videos. The library is extensive. I think that's where I grew up, in the town in Pittsburgh that threw me off there.
And then, using our products, Dennis and I have stayed together a couple times. I think it's a battle to see who can use more Market America products in the first 60 minutes of the day. But it's just part of what we sort of our culture we've grown up with. We use our product. I do believe it's made a big difference in my life. I wouldn't use it just to use it. I use it because I believe in it, and that's so important. And it comes through to people when you talk to them. And then Dennis, the last thing, of course, would be reading her goal statement.
Absolutely. I think that's important.
Base 10. I mean, this is what it's all about, isn't it? It's getting 10 customers who order on a repeat basis. Now, 10 customers is great, but 10 customers who order on a repeat basis is what we are really, really looking for. And it takes a little time, it takes a little effort, but I do have to say, Dennis, we have such good products that it's so, I don't want to say it's easy because nothing's easy in this world, but when someone gets on our product, there's a good chance they're going to reorder, and they're going to reorder because they like the product. We were over helping my neighbor lift some weeds up by the pier. Dennis and I both live on lakes, and we know you can get weeds by the pier. And he's a little bit older than I mean, and he's like you. He's had 2 hip replacements. The last one was recent. And he's asking me, he's like, when is my OPC coming in? Because I just ordered him 2 bottles of OPC3, and he's like, don't you used to always keep it with you? And I said, Gary, I ordered it. My kids are stealing all of it because everybody's home. And but you know what it is? He's my repeat customer now because why? He came to a night we had at our house. I introduced products. He said, hey, I've got this bad hit. It's when he had 1 bad hit. He ordered the product. Now he orders it on a regular. That's what you want. 10 Garys, 10 people who are going to order from you on a every month or every other month basis.
Bingo. And you know what we've learned? Those 10 repeat customers usually will fall into line with you starting 20 to 25 customers. As everybody's not going to turn into a repeat customer. So don't feel like I'm just going to get 10 customers. No, it's really try to get 2 customers a week for the first 12 weeks, 16 weeks, and you'll be sure to get your repeat customer base in place. And it's a good test for you too. I think that's really important. The 7 strong part is, something that it really goes hand in hand with getting your client base, your customer base. And people ask us all the time, what's more important, getting your customers or getting your distribution lined up? And I'm going to say both.
The answer is yes, Dennis.
Yes. Yes, you need cash flow. Yes, you need to expand distribution so that you can earn the dollars that will satisfy your why. And so notice this drawing, how it's not like Kate necessarily coming in and sponsoring one on her left and one on her right. That would be your typical sponsor one, and they activate. You may have to take total control of one of your organizations and sponsor 3 people into the business and work with all of them to build out base 10-7 strong. That's why this diagram is so important. The other thing with what Jim was pushing with the 10 repeat customers is our goal of production for each and every one of our unfranchised owners is a minimum of 500 business volume each and every month with our Market America branded products. Very, very important to remember. And it usually comes from about $400 to $500 from our $400 to $500 BV from our retail sales, and $100 to $200 from our personal usage of the products. And that's going to get you over your 500 business volume. And if you understand the pay criteria, you'll understand then the bottom line is you can earn at least one $300 commission check each and every month, if not more. Okay, so.
And you know what's great, team, is what Dennis just shared with you is this is right in the Getting Started guide again. I know a lot of people will gloss over this, but I think it's, to me, this is so exciting to show a new person that if they have 3 people on the left, 3 on the right, however those 3 come in, whether they sponsored 6 or they sponsored 2 who each sponsored, and they teach them how to get customers and use the products, $300 a month would change the life for a lot of people. And to get that to 600 is just generating more people doing the same thing. But you have the track to run on, and you know how to do it. And there are people who have customers never leave our business, do they, Dennis?
No.
They're getting it at cost. They're making retail profit. It's such a key to building a strong, stable organization.
Amen.
Amen. And you know, you've got to teach the basics needed to build this by selecting the right products or services. Know the story. What are your products you like to talk about? When I started, I'd been a customer and it was OPC3. I'd had some wonderful results I'd love to share with people. Thermochrome, I'd lost 10 pounds taking the product when I was using our old Thermochrome, the initial blend, and I thought, wow, I love this. And I would just tell people about it. And then a multivitamin, because I always thought it was good. I knew my 3 products. That was what I started off with, and I grew from there.
Beautiful. And you know, it's a whole process that Jim talks to his 3 products. There's a retailing process. You've got to make the approach. I like to book an appointment so I can educate. Our belief is an educated consumer is a long-time user, which is really important. You conduct the appointment, building a relationship, you ask for the sale. You can set up a win-win scenario. And if you follow through some of the things like retailing to recruiting and product, you'll get some more tips there. And a follow-up is important.
You know what's great now, Dennis, with all the tools we have too, is someone purchases products from you. Like, as you said, you do a consultation, you meet with them, they buy products. Well, when they buy that, you can send them a catalog right from the company. You can send them the daily essentials in a trial size package to try. We have so many tools that remember, when you're doing that, you're showing that other person this is a way you can expand the business. Because then we're going to get to a point where we're going to learn to show the plan. We can implement a schedule, a buddy plan where you do it sort of like Dennis and I doing this. It's a commentator role where one can lead, one can jump in, and you learn the tools to use.
And now, and the evaluation, no decision close is an easy thing that you can do. Have the confidence. You're not infringing on anybody's personal space or anything else. You're asking for a simple evaluation, and it's a great way, non-threatening way for you to show the plan.
Yeah, and you just keep booking the appointments. As Dennis said, it's non-threatening. And again, there's no perfect way. You might do all of it. You might do a part 1. You might be doing a part 2. Find out what works for you and do it the best way. But the key is get that plan in front of them in a non-threatening way, which is why JR has been so strong in helping supporting us with the evaluation and no decision close.
And of course, with everything that we do, we want to follow up, and you want to start doing that ABC pattern of duplication. So everything falls into alignment with the basic 5. So once again, we were talking now on multiple slides, but really it was just the basic 5. So what do you want to do? You want to make sure you see the basic 5 at least 7 times and learn from 7 different people. And as you start to go more and more, you'll evolve to where you begin teaching it. And that's where it becomes interesting too, in everything that we do there. So let's talk about some of the important things that we have to cover when we jump into our unfranchised management system. So this is almost the part 2 of a registration. Right. And, you know, the first thing I want to remind everyone, and it's important that you set up an account for commissions so that can be automatically deposited as you earn them.
You know, and review that BV and IBV auto placement. And even if you do it in the beginning, remember that, like today, Jesse called me because he got the email about his Form 1000 being ready to be done, but he had to go in and he had to accept the conditions, I think it was, you know, acknowledge the terms and conditions. But then he said, well, where does my BV go into it? And I said, well, let's go here. And we took a look and he could see where we had auto placed it. You know, when we did it the first time, there's so much coming at him. Many times you need to review this multiple times.
Bingo. And then you want to make sure that you're setting the monthly auto ship order. And Jim, I don't know about you, but I know in our discussion, we'd like to see our unfranchised owners do a better job in explaining why auto ship is so important for 100% of every unfranchised owner that is in the business. It's a great way to free up time. It really helps in the fact that You don't have to worry about ever losing your active status. You're able to have your sponsor place volume in your business if selected based on your efforts. I mean, there's so many things that benefit that unfranchised owner, and the sponsor does have a responsibility to make that happen. Uh, yeah, I'm a big fan of auto
So,
ship.
so true. We can't even place orders into them if they're not on auto ship. So I mean, and beyond that, as Dennis has talked, it's duplication, guys. You're gonna have big organizations. You want to duplicate very easily. You know, when it says accept communications, what that means is determining how are we going to communicate on different things. Some people communicate through Facebook, some communicate through email. There's different communications from the company to accept, whether that be some of the notifications that we do. You know, I like everyone to get the text notifications as well as the email, so they're getting both of those when we do that.
And we've got to know how to register preferred customers. And that's a big way that you keep your customers. Do not ever not register a customer after they make a purchase, or if you've approached someone about a product, make sure you get their details and enter them as a preferred customer, even if it's just an easy registration with an email address. Okay, that's very important so you don't lose a sale if they come back a day or two later.
Oh, so good. You have to do that right away, and then learn how to create a retail receipt. You know, and again, some of this we're going to cover and go through with you, and you might forget it, but as long as we've started with it, when it comes up, something's going to kick there, and you may call up and say, "Hey, remember, I got to do a retail receipt for this customer. I bought it out of my inventory. What do I do again?" That's fine, but those are things we all want to know how to do.
And again, remember what we're talking about. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. Don't be overwhelmed with this. You've got time. This is a partnership. So again, logging on as a personal preferred customer, very important when you go shopping on shop.com, because in addition to your customer shopping, you want to shop there and you want to get your credit too, or double, internet business volume each every time that you're shopping.
And then learn to invite people and how to do that from your shop.com site so they can earn cash back. And Dennis, I guess finishing up with again, completing our shopping assessment, right?
Bang. Yes, you better believe it. An important part of building your shopping annuity as your organization grows.
You know, and then making a product order. I'll tell you what, in my order of doing things, this is the one of the first things I want to teach them. I can't believe people don't teach people how to make a product order, because of all the things, what do we want new business partners to do? We want them to make product orders on their own, for themselves and for their customers. So let's teach them how to do that right away.
Then move to download your unfranchised marketing app. And just a real quick reminder, July 1st, when we start Shop Live, everyone that have already downloaded your unfranchised marketing app has to go back to the App Store and update your unfranchised marketing app. Just go back and just download it again, and then you'll see you'll have Shop Live on it.
Yeah, it's so important to have that. And then send the training Zooms on the Unfranchise app and Shop Live. You and I have done a number of these together that can be sent. And there's trainings on the bottom of the app to take a look at as well. But, you know, really lead your new UFO to that Market America YouTube and where they can pick up different things.
And in regards to your tax position and keeping track of your business, inventory management, Market America, another clear separation from traditional multi-level marketing businesses. We are in business as a business, so it's important that you have your inventory controlled at all times.
And again, that takes a minute to learn, but once you have it, it's really pretty easy. So you may have to go back to your senior partner to ask on that. Dennis, next two things should be done right away. Set the NUOT training date and set the Basic 5 training date, right? And get those in the calendar and ready to go.
As we talked earlier, and one thing that's amazing me, Jim, there are so many of our unfranchised owners, when they go into their unfranchised management system, they don't scroll down the home page. So please, once you get to your UFMS, scroll down and see what is on the homepage. There's a lot of great information, including the Zoom scheduling.
And, oh, Chris Petticord and his team do an incredible job of providing information on there. And really, if you haven't, now you know, scroll down, you'll really enjoy it. And then learn how to review some of the reports. We were doing that today, right, Jesse? Taking a look at some of the things so he could look and see where his BV's at and doing those things. Now, we've got trainings in the back office, but again, you have to be, again, you've taken the role of mentor when you bring somebody in the business, and you need to give them some of that hands-on time.
So true. And then again, you're reviewing your help and training and the learning center, support materials, media, YouTube, etc., GMTSS. Now, some of these things, remember, you can give homework assignments. What are we really doing? We have committed new business owners, and you should give them some assignments when you're not talking with them. So if you're talking a couple, 3 times a week, in between, give them something to go look up and to study, and remember to ask them questions on what they're looking at. So we're getting started. This is something that everyone needs to know. It's not complicated, but there is work. You gotta pay attention. I'm going to say that again. If you want to earn a large supplemental income, you can afford to pay attention. And then that was spoken the first time I heard that by one of our top earners, Mr. Frank Kiefer. So it's been pretty.
Afford to pay attention.
Absolutely. So work with your sponsor. Bug them, because just remember, this is ongoing supplemental income. Be coachable. Don't take offense when somebody teaches you something. Don't take it personal. Do your homework. Listen. We're going to work with the people that ask questions, that do homework when we're not holding their hands. And I want to remind you to act with urgency. This is really hard. And Jim, I want you to comment on some of these things when I'm done here. It's better to build fast than to build slow. Be passionate. I can't tell you how important it is that people don't oversell it, but just allow you to grow with your enthusiasm as you share more about what you've decided to become through your unfranchised business, and be committed. Do what you say. Now, I'm just going to remind you of the joke, commitment. Is it the chicken who lays the egg? Is that chicken committed to, what they do? Or is it the pig that becomes bacon? I got to say, the pig that becomes bacon is truly committed to the product.
So true. And these things that Dennis is going through, I love, by the way, homework, Dennis. That is really a good thing to give out to people. But moving fast rather than slow, people say, well, but I want to go at my own pace. That is fine. But we're here to tell you the truth. You can go at any pace, but the faster you go, the faster you'll get results. There's something called momentum that gets created with that. So why not have urgency? Why not have fun? Why not be passionate? That's a word Lisa and I use a lot in our life and about our businesses, living with passion. Because if you don't have passion, why are you doing it? You know what I mean? And those are things to look at. Dennis, we've had a couple questions too.
Okay, great.
Which I thought I would hit real quick. There was one that said, do you have to install the app before you update? And that answer is no. You just have to pull down on the app and it will update itself. Once you open it, if you pull down, it'll update, but we'll cover that on Thursday night again. I want to make sure everyone understands that.
Jim, if I could, and just pardon my comment here. Actually, it's a refresh, okay, when you pull it down, okay? What we need to do is go back to the App Store and actually get the app updated to get your shop live.
Great.
So everyone has to refresh every time they get on. I think it's a smart thing to do. Anytime you put a new contact and do that. And again, we're going to go back to the App Store to update.
Oh, great, great. And someone said, Dennis, suppose someone doesn't want to be a preferred customer. What do you do?
Okay. Well, I don't think there's any negative. There's no cost to a preferred customer. I would still make them a preferred customer and just let them know, should they decide to buy from the site, it would assure them of earning cash back. It's all good. It's all
Yeah, if you're putting the effort into somebody and they are buying, then they would need to be a preferred customer. That just makes sense with what we're doing.
Absolutely. Okay.
And rounding up our getting started guide is our master and franchise owner criteria, which we have spent, a lot of time on. And this is something with a new person. They're not going to understand everything. What I'm really trying to do, Dennis, when I show this page, is I'm just saying this is going to be sort of our guideline. This is going to be what our goal is going to be for you. Initially, you won't get all of this, but we're going to get to the point where this becomes second nature to what you do in your business.
Bingo. So let's go into our homework assignment. Going into week 12. All right. So number one, we want to review and bring current your third quarter schedule as it's instructed in this session. So I want you to submit to us the next 3 months, July, August, September, everything in your dates, if you're working, when you're working. Then I want you to review and bring current a third quarter calendar with one of your personally sponsored UFOs or Go Now UFO in your group. I want you to sit down with someone and go over the importance of that, because it's going to allow you to recognize the performance of that individual. And so submit any breakthroughs or challenges that you've experienced in completing this assignment, and this will provide insight as to how we'll perform in the third quarter. So we'll look forward to seeing you adjust that schedule or lay it out and work with one of your teammates in the process.
And you lay it out and you don't have anything on it, it's time to call one of your teammates and get some support.
Absolutely. So Jim, thank you very much. It's been a great session. Final thoughts?
Well, I want to go back to where we started, Dennis. I think those first 90 days are vital for everybody. The setup before and the 90 days when they start. Team, don't shortcut. If you shortcut that, you're really sabotaging your business and theirs. Take the time, do the effort. In our business, the more you put in, the more you get back. Help other people and you'll get everything you want.
And my comment to that is continue to work with that newly sponsored individual and get them paid. Base 10-7 strong will get them paid. So the faster you get them there, and the faster they're on their way to getting that foundation after 2 to 3 years, that'll set them in a position to get that supplemental they set that would help them meet their why. So Jim, I am going to look forward to next week. We'll be talking about leadership. We'll be talking about duplication, but the bottom line is I think it's going to be a huge week 12 for us.
It will be. It'll be our wrap-up week. And I know people love leadership, and it'll also be the first week of the new quarter for people. So it'll be a great starting point. We look forward to seeing everybody Thursday night, on the Shop Live presentation. And for those of you that we don't get to talk to personally, have a wonderful and safe 4th of July weekend as well. Always a great celebration, but please be safe as well. Dennis, as always, you're a pleasure to work with as the master.
Oh, thanks, Jim. I look forward to seeing everybody next week.
All right, take care.
Happy
everyone.
4th. Okay, we'll see you.